Minasama, konnichiwa, Adverse desu. Yo, this is Adverse from Seminite, VSSR, and you're watching Fukuro TV Interview Questions. Check shite kudasai. Alright, so what led me to Japan? Well, it's a fairly simple story. Back in high school, I had a teacher, an art teacher, and she was a huge Japanophile. She loved everything about Japan, and she would always show us Japan influenced art. And one day in art class, she showed us a video, the movie Akira, the animated movie, and I was just blown away. And I knew from that moment that, yeah, I'd have to go to Japan one day. So yeah, that was it. All right, so when it comes to music that inspires me, like most people, I'm a fan of all types of music. Maybe if I had to pick one, when it comes to hip hop, I would say I'm the biggest fan of the New York sound, especially beat makers like DJ Premier. The classical New York boom bap style, I'm a big fan of. And Premier especially because he's always able to balance and contrast the subtleties of the samples that he uses, be they jazz or even classical, against that kind of typical raw boom bap style. So it's very moving, it's in your face, it's super punchy, and it just gets you moving and gets the juices flowing when it comes to writing. So DJ Premier, yeah, he'd be my biggest influence, I'd say. All right, top 5 rappers. Yeah, that's a difficult question because to narrow it down to just 5 is hard, right? Part of me wants to be, I want to be a hipster and name some obscure artists, but I'll prefer just to be honest and say whose lyrics I like the most. In no particular order, I'd say Rakim is one up there for sure in my top 5. Nas, Biggie, and Redman, and I would even say Eminem too, because I just love almost what he does with lyrics is almost mathematical. So some people hate on Eminem, but yeah, he's in my top 5 for sure. All right. This question is super easy to answer for me. Has to be Street Fighter 2. When it comes to the edition, maybe I would say Hyper Fighting, if you know that version. It was pretty cool. And I remember being a kid in the arcade, addicted to that game, and usually the smallest kid in the arcade. And I knew that I couldn't take on those guys around me physically. They were bigger than me. But when it came to Street Fighter 2, they got dealt with. All right, what do I like about Japan? Yeah, I mean, it's a cool place. It's interesting. The people are usually friendly and polite, which is always good. I think for me, the biggest thing that I get out of living here is the fact that, no matter how much time you spend living here, there's still so much to learn when it comes to the culture or the language or just the way people think and approach things on a day-to-day level. It's always new, for me. And one of the reasons I came to Japan in the first place is being tired of the predictability of everyday life back home. And then coming to a brand new place that was just super appealing to me. And I remember, I think actually just before I came, I remember one of my aunts saying to me, "Nick, why are you going to Japan? It's so far away. Do you know anyone who lives there? Do you speak the language? Do you know the culture?" And obviously my answer was no, but then I told her that's exactly why I'm going, because I don't know what to expect. I don't know the culture, I don't know the language, and that is appealing to me. So, that's what I like about living in Japan, just the unknown and the unknowable sense that I get living here. Interesting question. What is my go-to, my favorite convenience store poison? Being that it's all poison, it's a hard choice to make, but I'm gonna have to go with Fami Chiki, which is an abbreviation for the chicken that they sell at Family Mart, which is the best thing to eat after you've been out drinking all night. It's salty and oily and gross, but it hits the spot. Okay, my favorite comic book character. So, well, I didn't read the traditional comic books that are popular in the US. As a kid, I read something called The Beano and another comic called Dandy, which none of you guys will know about. But if I can answer the question in terms of favorite superhero, comic book superhero, then I'd have to say Spider-Man. Spider-Man is the G. And yeah, even now I'm a fan of Spider-Man. Better than the Hulk, better than all the rest. Spider-Man for me. All right, so yeah, well, the creative process that we adopt typically, you know, working in Seminite for any VSSR project, I would say is more like the development of ideas. So Penakis is the guy, he's like the, you know, he's the idea master. So he sows the seeds. And a lot of the work that I do is involved with character. So I always try to find that thread that goes through what that character is about and try to get into the mind and empathize with that character. And I find if I'm able to do that, the things that I say and the voice that I use, it just comes naturally. If I can get into the psyche of the character, then the rest comes naturally. So yeah, most of my involvement is the creation and development of characters. So for me, just finding that spot of empathy.
Yeah.
You have to direct.
Okay. Yeah, say something else.
Okay.
In English.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Is it me? You see? Are you sure?
All right, okay, favorite brand of sneaker, I'm gonna have to say Nike, just because they have a bunch of crazy designers and they take risks, and you could basically have 10 brands of sneaker and cover up the label, and it will be true that the design that I like most would be revealed as Nike. It's just, they just fit me. So just the design language and how they approach their products. I'm a Nike guy. Well guys, when it comes to upcoming projects, we have a lot of stuff in the works. We're going to continue to push the boundaries and bring ourselves outside of our comfort zone, experimenting with multiple genres. We're going to approach comedy, as you've seen in some of the videos, and horror, and then just, you know, the typical hip hop style. And we're also going to keep producing groundbreaking videos. That's been a big part of our work thus far, and we'll continue in that thread. And also, as the pandemic subsides, we'll get back on to the live shows. So stay tuned, guys.